You are listening to the Work Life Eubiosis podcast with your host, Charleston Edwards. If this is your first time here, welcome. My goal is simple: to eradicate burnout and to bring harmony, purpose, and balance to this world, starting with the family. My hope is that this show and the story shared will provide encouragement and ideas that will be valuable to you on your journey to work-life freedom. So let's dive in to today's episode. I read an interesting article this week of why the polls were so wrong in predicting who would win the presidential election. The article claims the neighbor effect makes some people sensitive to share how they vote. This human reluctancy makes it hard to make predictions. Political opinions are often the elephant in the room. In a public setting, and especially on social media, sharing our worldview can quickly become an invitation for a fight, getting defriended, or even canceled. Or even worse, addressing the elephant in the room can separate families. Our society forces us to pick a side, to vote, to find our tribe, and fight. But what happens when there are different belief systems in our own tribe? Is our tribe actually defined by our own set of friends, colleagues, community, and family members? What do we do when we realize that our family tribe represents different belief systems? How in the world do we approach conversations or even approach the holidays? How can we not address the elephant in the room this Thanksgiving? Do we even participate in Thanksgiving this year? How do we defend our worldview without hurting someone else? How do we stand for our convictions when it may cost us friends, family, or even our jobs? Is the fight even worth it? These questions are circulating our country this week. I've heard them. I've said them myself. It's not surprising to see the reactions of both grief and celebration this week. Every election magnifies our differences. We often take our political fights to the booth, and we vote for who we believe can better our world. But how do we personally fight for a better world? The answer to this question will look different for all of us. And this is beautiful. To those of you who are new to the Own Your 5 to 9 initiative, my personal fight is for the family. Family is a symbol of love. This community is part of my extended family, and you all are incredibly different. And it's the unique diversity of this family, all families, and my neighbors that reminds me to check myself and love. And in weeks like this past week, we are challenged to love. We are challenged to love our neighbor. We are challenged to love someone who is hurting. We are challenged to love someone who is boasting. We are challenged to love someone who doesn't believe in what we believe in. We are challenged to love when it makes no sense at all. This is hard. Daily, we all face the decision to love or to hate or to remain neutral. And someone said to me just yesterday, the words we choose to come off our tongue can quickly build someone up or tear someone down. So how do we handle this challenge? Fortunately, this challenge of love versus hate is not a new one. One of my favorite parables about love is the Good Samaritan. Jesus was asked by an expert of religious law, "Who is my neighbor?" when he was told the greatest commands is to love God and to love our neighbor like ourselves. The story grips me every time because the biblical description of love is an opposite reaction to when we want to hate or react in anger. The story can be summarized like this. 3 men have an opportunity to help a Jewish man lying in the road who was robbed, beaten, and left for dead. The first 2 men, also Jewish, ignored the beaten-up man and went on their way. The third person that arrived on the crime scene was a Samaritan. And for the record, Jews and Samaritans hated each other. They were just as divided as our country is today. The Samaritan stopped and had compassion for this despised man, caring for his wounds, paying for his care, and even coming back later to check on this man. The enemy went over the top for a person who was left for dead by his own tribe. The story ends like this. Jesus asks, "Now which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by his bandits?" The Jew answered, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." The neighbor in this story is not necessarily the person living next to us. In fact, the neighbor may not represent our own tribe. Our neighbor may not believe anything that we believe in. Our neighbor just may have experienced life differently than we have. The compassionate neighbor is the person that is going to care for our wounds, no matter what. If you're the one feeling beat up by this week, look for a compassionate neighbor. If you're the one that is passing by someone who is hurting, be that neighbor. Love is not just a feeling or an emotion. Love is a choice when it just may not make sense at all. Love is not permission to take emotional or physical abuse or be best friends with an enemy. But what love does is cleanses our perspective and serves as a filter as we navigate the challenges in our lives. Thank you for listening to the Work-Life Eubiosis podcast, part of the Work-Life resources created by Own Your 5 to 9. I hope that you have found encouragement and a few ideas to strengthen your journey to purpose, freedom, and balance. Have you overcome burnout and found a new way of life? Millions around the globe are still at the risk of burnout and losing it all. And your story may be the one that sparks not only a dream, but action. Visit ownyour5to9.com for more information and submit your story. While you're there, join the Work-Life Eubiosis newsletter and receive additional resources weekly right to your inbox. If you enjoy this podcast, take time to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Share it with a friend or loved one. Remember, the most important organization in the world is the family. Let's do our part to strengthen it. Thank you for listening.